Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella. Discover the dark side of love in this goth and lovely romance with Spinsterella. Get Spinsterella in paperback and e-readers at your favorite online bookseller today. I've had this idea for what I would consider to be a fun TV show or a great goth event. And it fuses your goth music and all of the darkness of the goth subculture with the TV show Soul Train from the 1970s. Now, these music shows were really big from the 1950s all the way up to 2006. And on these shows, you had like your American Bandstand, your Solid Gold, and your Soul Train. You would have a host on the show, and everybody would be dancing on this set while this music played. And in the middle of the show, usually they would take a minute to introduce a new band or a band that had been around for a while, and they would promote their brand new tracks to everyone on the show. And while they were dancing to the tracks, people would get to know them and get to know their music. So I thought that this would be a great TV show because a lot of people in the goth scene, they really complain about how it's hard to get access to new bands and new music. A lot of the younger kids, they say that they are tired of listening to old bands from the 80s. So I came up with the idea of let's do a music show or a goth event where we can get the kids to see the new bands and be able to give them an opportunity and a showcase to promote their work. Because back in the day, that's what shows like American Bandstand and Soul Train used to do. They were platforms where kids got to get on stage and dance to the beats of their favorite music, and music producers got an opportunity to introduce those kids and the audience around the world to brand new bands, brand new music, and brand new sounds. And I thought for the goth subculture, this would be a very fun show because you could create a nice set that was darkly themed, and you could also, as you're having this dark themed set, also be able to have a nice host, somebody like a Voltaire, come on the air and be able to just have some fun and show how much fun the subculture truly is while paying respect to the core foundation of the subculture, which is the music. So when I look at your shows like your Soul Train, they really had an impact on the culture because they allowed black soul music to be the foundation, and they allowed black people to be able to express themselves by dancing and showing all the fun moves over the years, because we go from the 1970s when Don Cornelius created Soul Train, and people got to enjoy themselves, express themselves, and we got to see some really fun stuff like the Soul Train line, and we got to see all of these great bands come down over the years, and we got to also see some fantastic fashions from people as they were dancing on the set of this show. And I thought for the goth subculture, this would really be a lot of fun if we had, a goth version of Soul Train where we had this fun set where it was designed with a dark theme, and then we had this host, somebody like a Voltaire, coming on and introducing the show, introducing the bands, and then we cut to footage of kids in their best goth fashions dancing and having fun on the set of this show. And then we cut to an interlude where we introduce a brand new band at one part of the season as related to a couple of the episodes, and those bands get a chance to present their best music to everybody and introduce
people in the scene to their music, and we also get a chance to see some of the more veteran bands like people like Susie and the Banshees, if they're still playing, or The Cure, getting a chance to introduce themselves to a new generation of viewers. So when I thought about this idea, I thought it would just be a great TV show, and it's something that a lot that these new streaming services could really do, and they could do very well live. I mean, this Goth Soul Train that I'm thinking about, this would be a great live stream show that people could put on something like a Twitch, or they could put on a place like even your Netflix if they wanted to do it sort of like a syndicated type version where they film it in advance and then cut it up and then film it. This is something that could really get more people into the subculture, and it could get more people into the music, because when people see kids dancing and enjoying themselves and having a good time, that gives them incentive to go out here and try out music by many of these new bands that are producing their own music on their own. And it also gives these bands, again, the exposure that allows them to increase their sales on platforms like iTunes and Spotify and Amazon Music, and get their music in the hands of kids in the scene who are looking for brand new and fresh music, and are looking to listen to new bands and find new bands. Because again, I hear from so many people who say that they just can't find any new bands to out there, but there are so many great bands out there, and they could use a platform like a Goth Soul Train to really get their music to that audience. That's something that I thought would be a great TV show concept, and it's something that I thought would also, again, be a great live stream show that these clubs could use to make themselves some pretty decent money, because this type of event, when it's streamed, again, what it does is it gets people excited about the scene, it gets them excited about the music, and when we get people excited about the music, then they can get excited about what the core foundation of the scene is, which is something that a lot of people think is getting lost due to people being caught up in the whole visual aesthetic, because a lot of people come into the scene based on what they see as related to fashion and TV. So here we are, we take this media that's visual and we use it as an opportunity to get people into the music. So that's what I was thinking about, and I thought this show, again, would be something that would be very profitable for everyone. I know some people in the scene don't like thinking from a business perspective, but I was thinking about it from a business perspective. And I thought that, yeah, this is a great way to get the music to people, and a way for a lot of these bands to recoup the costs as related to what the money that they put into their music. Because a lot of these guys, the studio time isn't cheap, and the time that it takes to craft these albums, it's a lot of time, and they deserve to get that exposure out there, because a lot of people who are younger, they're tired of hearing from 80s bands like The Cure and Susie and the Banshees, and they are classic bands, but a lot of the newer bands, they want to get some exposure too, and that's where I came up with this Goth Soul Train idea, and I thought this would be a great way to get the music to the kids, a great way to get the music at events, and a great way to profit overall for everyone. And I also thought, a lot of people, they think that these companies, they talk about how they want to get the rights to their music. That's the only thing that's a real hindrance, as I see it, is how this music, as related to the rights and being played, might be a bit of a problem. But the big picture, as I see it, is it's getting exposure to musicians, and it's getting exposure to music. And a lot of this infighting that is in the music industry as related to rights, that's the only thing that would hamper things. But these episodes, they would help, again, expand the scene long term, and it would allow people and other companies to come on with sponsorships like your Dracula clothing, and even some of the smaller people out there like who are doing designs like Avelina Demore. It'd be a great way for them to get their products out there and really get them exposure. And a lot of, again, especially the smaller people, because you could do giveaways, because Soul Train used to do a lot of giveaways and stuff as for a context section of the show. So this is the kind of show that could really present a positive picture of the scene, and it could also allow people to see all of the positive aspects of the scene. And it's something that I thought would be just something that would be, again, a lot of fun, a lot very entertaining, and it would benefit the scene overall, and would also allow a lot of goth businesses to further expand and build further economically. So when I looked at this idea and I thought about it, I said this is something that I thought would really work, again, because with streaming like Twitch and Netflix and all of these other services, this is the kind of show that can build an audience, it can build a following, and it can build an international following and really be something that really gets people excited about the subculture and the foundation of the subculture, which is the music. And that's something that I would want to see, again, further expand, because when I look at the whole idea of the goth subculture, it's starting to grow again right now, and I think it's just the right time to launch a show like a goth version of Soul Train. And Soul Train, when it came out, again, came out because American Bandstand was doing primarily rock music, and then Don Cornelius came out with Soul Train in 1971, which focused on black music, which was mostly R&B and soul music and funk music, and that allowed people who produced this music to reach a larger audience, and it allowed it to grow worldwide. And I thought the same thing could happen for the goth subculture as related to many of the newer bands and many of the manufacturers of goth fashion. This could also lead to them being able to grow and expand their brands and their business, especially many of the smaller businesses out there. They could go and take themselves to the next level and come up to the Killstar level. So I thought that the big picture, again, of a show like a Goth Soul Train would benefit the scene long term and overall, and be a big hit, because, again, the subculture is growing. It's becoming, it's growing exponentially as I see it. And a lot of people they want more exposure. And again, this is a way to get people and brands and sponsorships and things like that, and be able to further build and expand the business. So I was thinking about this as either an event or a streaming show, and I would love to see a Goth Soul Train, because that's, again, the foundation is the music, and this is a way to get the music to all of the kids in the scene, and further give them access to old classics, and also give them access to all of those new great bands that have been emerging over the last few years. If you want to pick up some of my goth fiction, like the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, Spellbound, The Legendary Mad Matilda, Spinsterella, and the upcoming Eternal Night, you may do so by heading over to Amazon.com. There, all of those books are available in paperback and Kindle formats, and several of them are available on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Those who refuse the gift